Well, I asked, where's the beef? Let's call this for what this is. Oh my God! They are so hopelessly woke. How dare you? That is the intellectual capital of the left today. Give me a break. You are now watching the Daily Roundup. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Daily Roundup on this, a Monday, June 26, 2023. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, let me tell you something about my co-host. Do you know what, folks? Today is National Barcode Day. My co-host does not celebrate National Barcode Day because when those things came out in the mid-70s, they desecrated the covers of all her comic books. She is the she-devil with a sword. She is the Khaleesi of Northern Alberta. She is Sheila Gunn Reid. How you doing there, Sheila?
David, I was born in 1979. I definitely was not collecting comic books in the early 70s when the barcodes came out. But I know that you were, and then you sold your comic book collection.
Yes.
And then I forget what happened to it. You bought a car, but it wasn't I'm sure you'll tell it, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, and by the way, I remember distinctly, it was a barcode on a copy of Daredevil when I was in, I think, grade 8 at the time. I was living in Newfoundland, and I thought, what the hell is this desecration on the comic book? I think that might have been the first appearance of Bullseye, which makes that a very, very valuable comic indeed, but yeah, later in high school, Sheila, in order to get a date, I sold my comic book collection to get a used Chevy Camaro. Got a lot of male attention, zero female attention.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 2023, if I hung on to that comic book collection, and we're talking about gems, folks, here, like Fantastic Four #2 from 1961. Incredible Hulk number 181, first appearance of Wolverine. I could buy a new Ferrari off the lot had I hung on to that comic book collection. So, damn you, girls of Lawrence Park Collegiate Institute, graduating class of 1981. You really kicked me in the gonads with that financial decision. But I digress.
Do you? Everything you said about the comic books as you were listing them may as well have been in Mandarin to me. Like, it just, what? We should tell everybody what we're doing here because it is a very, very busy show. And I just added something to the topic list because it's wild. So this is the Rebel News Daily Roundup. It's normally hosted by David Menzies, who is here today, and a rotating cast of co-hosts, including myself today. It's a chance where we can talk about the news completely unscripted, but it also gives us a chance to do two other things: interact with our viewers at home and allow you to support us completely willingly, unlike what Justin Trudeau does with the mainstream media. So if you are watching us on the censorship platform of YouTube, and it is indeed a censorship platform, sometimes you won't find our content on YouTube, and that's because we can't publish it there, because we don't want to nuke a channel with 1.6 million sets of eyeballs. We value each one of those sets, even the hate watchers. But if you are watching us over there, might I suggest you watch us on a more free speech minded platform? For example, you could watch us on Rumble, or you could watch us on Odyssey. We're currently also streaming on Getter and Rumble, Odyssey, YouTube, Getter. Are we on Twitter? We're not on Twitter anymore. Okay. See, Tamara told me we were on Twitter, and then, or maybe I wasn't listening. But anyway, anyways, we're on those platforms too. But if you are watching us on Rumble or Odyssey, those allow paid chat. So if you drop a little money in the paid chat on Rumble, it's called a Rumble rant. On Odyssey, it's called a hyper chat. Throw a little money in there, and it's our chance to democratize the show. If you have a question, comment, story idea, drop it in there, and I or David will read it towards the end of the show. So incentivize you to stick around to the very end, because that's when the people have their say. And I think that's it.
You know, Sheila, it just popped into my head when you were mentioning Getter. How long is it going to be before, I don't know, the CRTC or some loon on the left lodges a complaint to some level of government that Getter is a misogynistic term? I'm thinking in terms of, remember the fellow, I think it was in Nova Scotia. Grabber.
No, it's Saskatchewan.
Which one was that?
It was in Saskatchewan.
The name of?
Grabber.
Oh, are you sure it was Saskatchewan?
Yeah, I thought for sure it was Saskatchewan.
I thought for sure it was like in the Maritimes.
It could
We're
be.
going to get that cleared up. I think
I'm
somebody
doing
in
it right
Saskatchewan
now.
had a plate.
Nova Scotia.
Yes.
Scotia. You're right.
I
Grab
think the
her,
Saskatchewan
and that was
one,
Wayne.
was Assimilate. And he's a Star Trek fan. And of course, they took that away thinking it was anti-native for some reason. But they literally wrenched that off his vehicle. He went to court to try to keep it, lost. So, and then, by the way, that's his name, folks. He's not giving a mandate, go grab her. You know, kind of like what Blackface did to Rose Knight out in BC once upon a time. Anyway, if grabber is offside, I'm sure someone's going to make an argument down the road that getter is offside too, Sheila.
Or gun.
Yeah.
Or gun. Like, people often joke, like, Justin Trudeau's trying to ban you. Like, don't give them any ideas. They're banning names on license plates. I'll be next. Don't worry.
100%. So anyways, just a random thought. But, Sheila, let's kick it off with, it was Pride weekend here in Toronto, a.k.a. Sausage Fest. And I do not exaggerate, yet again, par for the course. For some reason on this weekend, you can walk around full frontal nudity on display, and the Toronto Police Service won't do anything. I wonder if the gay liaison officer, Officer Chevalier, was on the case. You know, he's the guy that wants you to refer to your nephews and nieces as nibblings, just in case you misgender them. But no, apparently, once again, when it comes to the Rainbow Mafia community, Sheila, one rule for thee, one rule for me.
You know, let's perhaps go into some of these videos from the ungodly display that took place in Toronto over the weekend. We've got Toronto man holding a sign that proudly reads, "Celebrating my diversity." Maybe we could show that one. I'm already scared. I haven't seen this video. Apologies in advance, everybody, for what I assume will be absolute vulgarity. Oh, my Lord. Thank you, Efron, for blurring this. This is the result of too much soy. That's a lot of men with gynecomastia or whatever that disease is, where you, like, look, that guy's like a C cup jiggling down the street. We left out, we should have blurred the top too.
You know, some of these guys could really, you know, do with my advice, which would be to get on a saddle, ride that bicycle, and try to do something about those fat ricotta cheese candy asses. Nobody wants to see that. But Sheila, for 30 years, I've been asking this query. And I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm not saying it as a joke. And even from members in the gay community, I never get an answer about this. Or the LGBTQ2S++ community. Got to keep up to date, folks, with the fashions. If this is about pride, what is it about full frontal nudity that is an expression of pride? I would say that's an expression of vulgarity. It is indeed against the law, even for a parade pride route. Sheila, what can you think of what the connection is? Because whenever I ask this question, even with people in law enforcement, they dismiss it. They chuckle and they go, no. And I always say, no, seriously, tell me, why isn't anyone being charged? And what does this have to do with an expression of pride? I think it's the polar opposite expression that you're making when you do that, especially in front of children.
They've somehow managed to tie my disgust for their fetish for full frontal nudity in public to discrimination against them for however they choose to live their lives. And that's definitely not the case. In the before times, if you were naked at the bus stop, you'd get taken away in handcuffs after they come with the butterfly net because you are a perverted weirdo. But as long as you do it within the confines of a parade, celebrating people's sexual choices for some reason. Again, I can't even believe we have parades for these things. You can walk buck naked down the street in your very best Crocs, as we've seen here. These are all, by the way, Efron informs me, these are all videos from the Post Millennial, who's on the scene suffering through this, and they conveniently blurred everything for us. So special thanks to Post Millennial for protecting my modesty.
Yes, indeed. and I hope we're going to be protected when it comes to this video. Freeland and some Liberals joined in the Pride Parade, Toronto. Mr. Producer, please tell me she was clothed. Okay, so I don't have to watch the video like this, Sheila. Freeland had
we have had to blur her in the past. So.
Oh, yeah. We have had to, and this is no joke. Sheila knows what I'm talking about. We've had to blue dot the crotch area of Freeland in certain shots because apparently she buys dresses that are 2 sizes too small, kind of like the Grinch.
They ride up, and then she puts her shoes on. Like, she's changing in and out of her heels and in her shoes in the airport, whatever. But, lady, you're wearing a dress.
And if you're going to wear it that way, Miss Freeland, just please don't go commando, all right? So let's
I don't know what was there. I didn't see it. They sent it to me with the dot already in place.
Let's see this video.
Oh, here comes... Where's Freeland? I don't see where... Oh, okay. This looks like the same street corner where the buck naked guys just rolled through. Oh, there's Freeland. Is that a maternity dress?
I'll take it.
But like, honest to God, these guys just walk down this exact same corner, buck naked in their Crocs in front of little kids. And then Freeland just strolls, she's not just in the same vicinity, but she's literally marching in the same parade, endorsing the people who are in this parade. And you cannot have conservative politicians anywhere near a convoy event. Otherwise, suddenly they're white supremacists who are linked to Russian extremism or whatever the Looney Tunes conspiracy theorists on the CBC accuse them of. But this is completely acceptable. Actually, beyond acceptable. If you don't do it, the Liberals cancel you.
You know, Sheila, you're so right. I never thought of it in those terms, and you are bang on. More to the point, I got to tell you, looking at this footage, some parade, it just seems like a bunch of Joe Blows walking down Bloor Street. I mean, I think of the Santa Claus parade. You know, you got the upside-down clowns. Yeah. You've got marching bands. You got those giant floats with Mother Goose and, of course, St. Nick at the end. And this seems to be just like, I don't know, Skydome exiting after a Blue Jays game. I mean, what the hell am I looking at? Just people holding up little rainbows. I think that's just like boring as all hell, Sheila.
Yeah, because it's not really a parade in the traditional sense that you would know a parade. For example, small town Alberta, it's nothing but parades and rodeos and rodeo parades. Like the Girl Guides put in a float, and the Egg Society puts in a float, and the everybody puts in a float. All the businesses put in a float. It's kind of fun to see what sort of themes they've chosen, but those are actual parades.
Yes,
that showcase the community, like the things that make up these little small town communities. This is just a bunch of people feeling the need to get into this parade because the parade is the mob. So you want to be part of the mob. This is basically the outrage mob with rainbows, and you want to be part of it because if you're not part of it, then you are a victim of it. So it's just, they don't need to do any, again, this is the symptom of virtue signaling. You don't have to do any work, just get in the mob. That's the story of the parade, but that's the story of the left entirely.
Well, one thing I was happy to see absent again this year, Sheila, was that despicable float that was paraded down the Gay Pride Parade for several years called Queers Against Israeli Apartheid. Yeah, you mean the country in the Middle East, the only country that has 2 gay pride parades every year? You mean that kind of gay apartheid? That was an absolute disgusting display of anti-Semitism. And if anyone says, oh, no, wait a minute, you can't say it's anti-Semitism. Being anti-Israel is not the same as being anti-Semitism. I'll tell you why it's anti-Semitism, folks. When you have somebody's name queers against Israeli apartheid, when that is based on a lie, because there is no apartheid in Israel, especially against gay people.
Well, there is. I was going to say there is apartheid, but it's Jews can't go to places.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Angry up the PLO.
You're absolutely right. And thank you. There's Mr. Producer's got the placard from years gone by. But what I'm saying, Sheila, if the very name of your organization is based on a lie, then what are you really campaigning about? Because there's no discrimination against gays or any other groups in Israel.
When we were in Tel Aviv, it was Pride Week.
Yeah, and I saw some pride flags. But the point is, it's garden variety anti-Semitism.
Sure it is.
These are people that hate Jews, and the whole, we're all under this big, beautiful, multicultural umbrella, love Trump's hate. Well, not all hate, it would look like. Some hate is welcome with open arms. So at least that wasn't there this year. So we'll take our victories where we can find them, I guess, She-Devil.
Yeah, I mean, you can do your Israeli apartheid, be gay against Israeli apartheid in Tel Aviv, and it probably wouldn't get you in trouble, but you might want to try that in Ramallah while you're at it.
Yeah, where in Ramallah, where if you are openly gay, you go up the express elevator to the rooftop of a skyscraper, and your return trip downwards is being thrown off the roof. Do you mean that kind of reception to the rainbow community? I think that's what you're referring to. But not a peep about that. No, nothing to see here, folks. It's those terrible Israelis that stage the only two gay pride parades in the Middle East.
I know. They say only do it for a week, though. Like, that was the good thing about Tel Aviv. I think Pride was only a week. It wasn't an insufferable month-long or even a season. Let's do this disgraced former mayor of Toronto, John Tory, makes an appearance at Pride, because of course he did. Do you remember, I think it was our friend Kean Bexty a couple of years ago, he tweeted John Tory stuffing bills into a drag queen's G-string or something at a bar event. We don't need to see it. Just understand my description of it. But anyways, John Tory's out there, I don't know, being part of the community, as they say. There he is.
Wow.
At least he got a haircut. His legs haven't seen the outside in ever, though.
What's the point? He's yesterday's man. He resigned in disgrace. And when I say that, folks, I'm not really talking about the extramarital affair, 'twas ever thus with so many elected leaders. But this cretin, he shut down the city. He had all the king's horses and all the king's men shut down independent restaurants like Adamson's Barbecue, whereas 400 meters down the road, the Costco food service facility was running like nothing had ever happened. He spray painted social distancing circles on Parkland to make sure tax-paying citizens stayed in their circle or get an $880 ticket, while turning a blind eye to violent inhabitants and animals at tent cities in those very same parks. He mandated the masks. He advocated getting double jabbed, including trying to bribe kids to do that. And then all this time, Sheila, this guy is horizontally jogging with a city staffer, no less, a complete...
Mixing households. They were mixing households, and I'm reliably informed that was a crime in Toronto during that very special time.
That's right. In our history. And all those mandates I just listed, it was all for our safety. And meanwhile, this guy is exchanging bodily fluids with this chick. Give me a break, Mayor Tory. And by the way, he broke another promise. What a way to leave. He said at the beginning of the mayoral electoral by-election, Sheila, he was not going to endorse a candidate. And a few days ago, well, guess what? Vote for Anna Bailau, his deputy mayor at the time. So even exiting, he can't do the right thing. He can't uphold a promise. So Sheila, why would he appear there? Like, is there some other realm of public office he's going to run for? Because I don't get it.
Well, no. I mean, he's just there. He would probably remain on as mayor forever if it had not been for his scandal. So he's just making sure that he's checking all the social justice boxes. And if he ever makes a return to public office, I hope not, but who knows? But again, if he didn't march, the mob would march for him, wouldn't they?
Or you know what, Sheila? Maybe his head honchos at Rogers, John Tory is totally connected with Rogers. In fact, he got his mistress a job at MLS&E after the affair blew up. I don't know what she knows about hockey and basketball, football, soccer, etc. But somehow she got a nice 6-paying gig there. And look at this ad, Sheila. I think
Wait. I was going to say maybe on the topic of John Tory's mistress, maybe they were doing it through a glory hole while wearing masks, as was the advice by Dr. Theresa Tam at that one point. And I know it sounds vulgar, but it's worse when your public health officer is saying it. I'm only repeating her advice.
Oh, Sheila, to quote Andrew Robinson in Dirty Harry, please, I scare easy.
So do I.
Anyway, look at this ad from Rogers in Friday's Sun. Does this not look like a character from Second City? Does this not look like Martin Short, portraying somebody with intellectual disabilities? That droopy smile with a flag in his hair. By the way, Rogers, a little transphobic here. This ain't the Pride Progress flag, with the BIPOC vagina and the purple flurple circle in it. It's
David, do me a favor. Quit saying that phrase. I've actually edited it out of several of your videos.
Oh, you're the one doing it.
Yes,
you
I
cheeky
can't hear
monkey.
it anymore.
See what kind of transphobia I suffer here at Rebel News, folks. But
Giving me
anyways,
transphobia.
I wonder. I'm gonna keep my antenna up come November 11th, Sheila. I want to see if Rogers is going to publish a full-page newspaper, full-color ad commemorating the veterans, those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, those who are still actively serving. I want to see if they acknowledge Remembrance Day as in singular, not week, not month, not season, as it's being called. It'll probably be years soon, Sheila. I wonder if Rogers is going to throw a few bucks into that kind of ad, or maybe they'll prove Don Cherry right yet again. They just don't care. That was from long ago. That's so imperialism, colonialism, white supremacy, blah 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 blah. We're not interested in that. So please remind me, folks, if I forget. I'll make a note to myself. Let's see the full page ad on November 11th by Rogers. I bet you they're going to completely ignore it, Sheila. What say you?
They're gonna have the rainbow poppy probably. Let's keep going because I want to get through all of these videos because we have to hit an ad break.
Okay.
And then we have a bunch of stuff right after. So we've got a video of a small child pulled in a wagon with a horrific sign.
Unbelievable.
Let's show that. What does the sign say? The sign says first transition-related surgery program. So these lunatics have a little child in the parade with a bunch of naked men. Child born of heterosexual procreation, and there's really no other way, by the way. But yes, just gross. Just normalizing this nonsense for little kids. Let's keep going, though. We've got the nudists at the Toronto Pride where the children are present.
Oh, more?
Get the millstones because they're hurting the little ones. My gosh.
Thank God for blurring technology.
Thank you, post-millennial, for blurring this stuff. But as Jesus said, get the millstones. Like, these people need to be tossed into the ocean.
For some reason, Sheila, I skipped breakfast. I came in here with a raging appetite. And I just lost it thanks to those last two images. By the way, do we know which hospital did that first trans child surgery?
I don't know. I don't know if it was just a stupid sign or what's going on there. But just yuck. Yuck. Makes me angry. We've got also Toronto mayoral candidate Edward Gong. He's making an appearance at the parade.
I want to see the accounting of this guy's campaign, Sheila. He's put 7 figures into his signage alone in Toronto. You can't drive anywhere in Hogtown without seeing endless rows of those gong signs. And I don't think he has any hope in heck of winning. But I know Ezra did a monologue on this international man of mystery. Yeah. I'm not surprised if he is indeed getting funding from the Communist Party of China. But really, what's his deal? What was the cause of this? And why campaign there? And by the way, just on the side, how unfortunate that in the alphabetical order of things, Mr. Gong is candidate number 44. 4 in Asian culture is what 13 is in Western culture. It's a bad luck number, and you compound it with another 4. I mean, I would change my name so I'm number 88. That would be the ultimate good luck number for an Asian candidate. But wow, karma's really something, isn't it, Sheila?
I don't believe in karma. But, by the way, so I don't watch TV. I know this is a bit of sidetrack from Pride, but we're still on the topic of Toronto mayoral candidates. So I was watching the Honey and Barry Sherman documentary with Kevin Donovan. I think it's made in conjunction with Kevin Donovan. It's on Crave anyways. But I don't normally watch TV unless I'm like on the treadmill or working out. That's like how I keep myself not binge watching TV or whatever. And Frank D'Angelo, if I recall correctly, he's also running for mayor, is he not?
He is indeed. We interviewed him. Yep.
Okay, so you and I were talking last week because I know him as like having that horrible late night TV show. And you said to me, Sheila, he was buying the airtime on public access TV. And that's how people were getting his show. And that made perfect sense to me because I'm like, no self-respecting network would put this on and like think that people would buy ad dollars to keep it afloat. Do you know who is paying for that show?
Oh, I have an idea.
Barry Sherman.
Yep.
Barry Sherman was funding all of that garbage. You know, that man was a true philanthropist, I guess, because he was supporting Frank D'Angelo's delusions of grandeur.
Sheila, I know Frank D'Angelo fairly well. It is a mystery to me, and I'll probably take this mystery to my grave, how Frank D'Angelo, brash, in your face, Italian, entrepreneur, musician, wannabe movie maker, beer league goalie, et cetera, somehow he meets the polar opposite. I
can tell you how it happened.
Oh, I know how it happened. It was over the bankrupt brewery. Where they were.
It was before that. It was about juice. So as it turns out, yes. So Frank's dad was in produce and he was a grocer. So that's how Frank was sort of in and around, I guess, fresh fruit. And he wanted to make like fresh juice. And Barry had this factory that was like a juice factory. And that's how they sort of came together. It was very weird, and it was a fast friendship after that. Very odd.
You've got it half right, Sheila. That factory, it was a state-of-the-art brewery that Barry Sherman was an investor in, and it went under before it started.
The brewery came after, I thought. The brewery, the beer stuff came after.
D'Angelo was going to go and buy, like, the kettles for the apple juice pressing, because he was making apple juice. And when he saw this thing, it was like the Taj Mahal of microbreweries. And he and Mr. Sherman had a conversation and said, listen, why don't we take a stab at it? And they launched Steelback Brewery.
But he got into his juice first. Steelback came after.
He was Frank D'Angelo was already making apple juice before then.
Right, but I think that's how they came together was he needed access to the factory. Then they got this other factory. And anyways, it's episode 2 or 3 of the documentary.
Okay.
They talk about the juice and how Frank gets with Barry. Because Barry had this factory, and then they got into the brew making business together. Like that was the second business. I could be getting this wrong. I was doing incline squats at the time.
But regardless, Sheila, somehow the two came together. As I gave you Frank's description, Dr. Barry Sherman, shy, retiring, Jewish billionaire with a B, the head of Apotex. And you couldn't find, I mean, talk about the odd couple. You could not find two more diverse personalities. Barry Sherman easily floated more than $100 million to Frank D'Angelo. At the height, Frank D'Angelo was the sponsor, the beer that was, of Coach's Corner and Hockey Night in Canada. That's huge money. Frank D'Angelo took over the Honda Indy for Toronto. Huge amount of money. Launched Cheetah. Huge ad campaign. Money and money pouring in by the millions. Not sure what the return was. And, you know, I don't think, you know, Dr. Sherman was in the business of losing money, but I think he lost a bucket load of it with all those ventures. Again, Sheila, the connection as to why Dr. Sherman was so enchanted with Frank D'Angelo, I'm not sure I understand. I'm not sure if I'll ever understand.
And it's not like Barry Sherman was lacking for friends. It wasn't like he was trying to buy friends. He had lots of friends. He was pretty well beloved. He was a philanthropist. He was giving money away all over the place. You know, like if you were a lonely guy and he didn't have but you know, like he did have enemies, of course, even within his own family. Sorry, Efron, we're on a big sidetrack here, but I just found everything very fascinating.
There's an asterisk there too, Sheila.
Yeah.
Because one of the things about Dr. Sherman is that, and there's no shortage of contractors, dozens and dozens of contractors who he would hire. And it was almost like sport to him. He would complain about something, say, I'm not going to pay, let's go to court. So, and that was one of the ongoing theories in terms of him and his wife being murdered. Could it have been somebody in the trades that he crossed the wrong guy, screwed the wrong guy? But there was that. He was also notoriously cheap. I understand he drove like
So was Honey.
Pardon me?
Honey. Honey was also notoriously cheap from what I understand.
But
his wife, she was cheap.
But Honey was more of the philanthropist. She was more of the one raising money for charity. And in fact, there's an anecdote, Sheila, for Barry's 60th or 65th birthday, I can't remember which, she bought him a top-of-the-line, brand-new Cadillac. So not Cadillac, Mercedes-Benz. And Dr. Sherman lost his mind. He was furious. He ordered her to take it back to the dealership and get whatever money she could get back. And it wasn't like he wasn't in need of a car. I think it was he was driving like a 12-year-old beater at the time. So again, the idea of getting upset about your wife buying you a birthday gift of a brand new, beautiful car to getting into bed with a guy that's going through your money by the millions with nothing to show.
I don't know. I don't know the particular pathology there. Okay, let's shut up. Let's show this video from the armed forces. The Canadian Armed Forces were at Toronto Pride. Let's show that and then we'll hit the ad break. Good Lord.
I can plastic, it's fantastic. Everywhere, imagination. Come on, Bobby, let's go, Bobby.
It's just so cringy.
Like a plastic, it's fantastic. You can press my hand, and there's me everywhere.
Okay, that's enough. I can't even. This is just. That's good. I'm good.
You know, Sheila. I'm a fan of the Village People. They've got some great dance hits, but I didn't foresee in the decades to come the Village People would actually become members of the armed forces.
This is real life. No, the Village People are real life. We're living through these horrible dark times. And you know who's looking at this and just laughing? China.
Oh, of course.
China. This is the best you have to offer. You ran all the good ones out. Because of your vax mandates. You either vaccine injured them or they were conscientious objectors, so they left, or they're slowly retiring, quiet quitting, as they say, because they're disgusted with the chain of command that did this to their fellow servicemen and women. And then what's the recruitment drive? Well, this, obviously. Great. Great, great, great.
You know, and by the way, very quick anecdote, because I know we got to go to an ad break, because I mentioned the Village People. Lady Menzoid and I went to see them in concert in 1992 at the old Ontario Place Forum, before it was torn down for that monstrosity called the Budweiser Theater. And it was the most diverse crowd you could imagine, like urban hipsters, senior citizens, a big contingent of the gay community was there, of course. And I'll never forget this, Sheila. The best moment of the show was the Village People performer that dressed up as the soldier, kind of like the guys you saw in that parade, for real. He saw a guy in the front row dressed exactly like him. And he had this real grimace on his face, and he left the stage and he marched up to him. And the guy who's dressing like him as a fan is full of apprehension. And when he gets to him, he stops and does a hard salute. And I got to tell you, the guy that was dressed up like him, it was a gay guy. He fainted. He fainted into the hands of his friends, right? Best concert moment ever.
That's so funny. Okay, let's hit this ad break. I've had enough of the Toronto Pride Parade for the rest of my life. Several lives. Like, if you're into reincarnation, I'm good for a few lives. But let's hit this ad break. A palate cleanser, if you will, and then we'll go into, I guess, more gender ideology nonsense. And Efron, behind the board there, I'm going to talk about that tweet that I dropped in the bottom of the thread there. Please, thanks.
We are a secular society. We respect deeply people's rights and freedoms, including freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, and discrimination against citizens based on their religion.
My name is Sheila Gunn Reed. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a farmer.
I am doing something today that I have never tried before. Listen up. I'm looking for collaborators in a new and exciting initiative. As you most likely know, YouTube a long time ago demonetized Rebel News, and we are 100% viewer funded. Now, while our supporters are fantastic at helping us cover legal campaigns and special reporting missions, unfortunately, the reality is our day-to-day operational expenses often exceed our income stream. Which is crazy if you think about it, because my videos across all platforms attract hundreds of thousands of views and sometimes even millions. So I want to share that reach with the right partners. If you have a product or business and want to enter a win-win relationship with me, please go to rebelnews.com/ads and fill in the form to let me know. I won't be accepting anyone. I need to believe in your business or product so I can sell it proudly for you. And for successful applicants, I will guarantee a minimum view count, meaning even if your ad is published on the less popular reports, we'll keep promoting your business or product until it gets the agreed minimum eyeball. So again, if you have a cool company or product that either wants to take advantage of my reach or want to support my work through advertising in a way that you can write it off as a tax deduction, or both, head over to rebelnews.com/ads and hopefully we can join forces soon.
So, Shiloh.
So wait, I should tell everybody that ad for the Save the Christians documentary was freezing up. We'll do our best to show it later. It's the trailer for our new documentary. The documentary is called Church Under Fire, Canada's War on Christianity. And it's produced under the artistic vision of our chief documentary filmmaker, Kian Simone. I'm the narrator journalist that works on it. We travel the country talking to pastors who stood up to the COVID restrictions and then faced very harsh consequences, not just the pastors, but also their congregations as well. We are doing something very new with this. We are taking the documentary on tour across Canada. We want to bring it as close as we can to the congregations who are featured in it, and even some other places too, like Regina. So if you want to get tickets, and I'm telling you right now, don't wait, because all of our events always sell out, and then I get last minute emails from people pleading for me to try to get them a ticket, and I would love to. I just can't, because I can't change the fire code. So if you want a ticket, go to savethechristians.com. You'll see the list of places where we're showing it. Click through, buy your ticket. The tickets are very affordable. It helps cover the cost of this documentary, but also other documentaries that we are already working on. So it's savethechristians.com to get your tickets, and the documentary is called Church Under Fire.
Excellent. And Sheila, as you know, I am contractually obligated not to mention the word Regina. Bit of an in-joke
100%.
there. Let's move
Yes.
on.
Okay,
I might already be in trouble.
Yes, please don't. Whatever. Okay, so I saw this tweet over the weekend, and I can tell you that I have seen this with my own eyes firsthand. It's from Diana Murphy. Diana Murphy is, she's the former official photographer to Prime Minister Jean Chrétien. She's not a liberal, but she worked for a liberal. So good for her, working under, under the liberal government, but being a nonconformist. Nice lady. So anyways, she says last weekend, three women's rugby players had to be removed from a game and treated for injuries from hits sustained by a trans woman. So this happened in Ontario, but I've laid witness to this, although nobody was hurt, thankfully. In fact, the male player imploded like a controlled implosion of a building when hit by a very talented young lady. And a lesson was learned that day, I think. Anyways, the referee, after repeated dangerous tackles, had to remove the trans player from the game. World Rugby, and this is true, has clearly outlined for a number of scientific reasons they're not allowing it. Why is Ontario? Why is Canada? If I were a woman playing rugby, I think I would protest by not lacing up. Trans women have no place in women's rugby or any women's sports. And I know there are a lot of coaches who have said they will not field their team. They will bench their team out of safety for the players. And that's the thing. A head injury is not just a career-ending injury, but a life-altering injury for these women and girls. And let's keep going. She says it's not a gender or a sexuality issue. It's a scientific one, that the presence of testosterone creates an unfair playing advantage. And due to the physical contact of rugby, this is a safety issue. You know what they wear for equipment in rugby outside of cleats? A mouth guard. That's it.
Yep.
All three players were injured as a result of being dump tackled. So that's picking up and then dumping. Now, there are a few women who can do that. You got to hit them going full speed, and you got to grab them low. But it also helps if you're a lot bigger, because you've got to pick up the full weight of the person and dump them instead of using your momentum to just drive through them. Now, they said they were dumped on their heads. I don't know if that's the case, picked up and dumped on their heads to inflict harm. I think you just pick up someone and dump them on the hard dirt, and there's harm to be had there. But that's the nature of rugby. And it's different when it's happening woman on woman or girl on girl, right? Now, this is the crazy part. This is the trans woman this string is about.
Yep.
That guy looks like he could be the ref. Anyway, it was a game in the Niagara Rugby Union, Stony Creek versus Fergus Highlanders. So,
which team is he on, Sheila?
I can't read it. I'm trying to read. I can't see. But whatever team he's playing for, whatever team he's playing for, he's cheating. The whole team is cheating. Well, you field a man on your team against women, you're a cheater. You guys are cheating. What a disgrace.
Sheila, I'm going to find out when the next game is, with the team he's on, whichever
It's in the
two.
Ottawa region, it sounds like.
I don't care where he is. And it's a he for all you people going, oh, he misgendered him. That's
Look at this
clearly
guy.
a man. Look at that.
That's male pattern baldness.
Male
like, and
pattern
when
baldness, no breasts. Look at this. You know, Sheila, this is a disgrace.
When I saw this myself with my own eyes, similarly, absolutely, look at the guy's arms and his legs.
Yeah.
Absolutely no effort was made to even pretend to be a girl. Absolutely none.
Just like those creeps staying at women's shelters, okay?
Yeah.
They're clearly male. They just say, I'm a woman, Bob's your uncle. I'm going to find out where this son of a bitch is playing rugby, and I want to scrum him and scrum his teammates and the opposition and the coaches. And again, it's not just testosterone, Sheila. Look at the differential when it comes to muscle mass, male versus female, cardiovascular, okay, male versus female. This is inherently unfair. And where is the feminist movement? They're sitting this one out. They don't want to be, I guess, labeled as transphobic. And again, the other team, that coach, I'm blaming it on him or the manager. They should have removed the team, because having a clear biological male, and the proof is in the pudding, 3 women needing medical treatment thanks to this bully. Why not allow a player to run around the field? Oh, I don't know, Sheila, carrying a broadsword or a switchblade. Why not that? You know?
Why not just put on full equipment and play against the ones who aren't playing with equipment? Why not do that? This is a clear imbalance in skill, speed, cardiovascular health, strength. All you have to do, and don't get me wrong, I love ladies rugby. It is, I think, one of the most exciting up-and-coming female sports in the world. You just have to look what happened with the World Cup with New Zealand. They filled a stadium. The women filled a stadium of 60,000 people. It's accessible. It's not expensive of a sport to get into, unless you're buying flights like I am all the time. But it's an accessible sport because all you need is a mouth guard and cleats. And all you have to do, though, to see the difference is to look at the highest level of female rugby. Look at the Black Ferns play in New Zealand versus the All Blacks men. And it's startling how much difference there is. Now, the ladies, they're incredibly strong. They're incredibly fit. These are female athletes who are at the height of their game, but they cannot compete against the men. And this fake female athlete, I can't even believe I'm saying that. Look at his quads. He knows it. He knows it. That's why he's doing it.
But Sheila, you said right off the hop that the World Rugby Union, and they should be applauded for this, it is one of the few sports organizations that has said, we're not buying into this transanity nonsense. There are men and there are female. You want to know which division you fit in? Check out your genitalia. Case closed. We don't care who or what you're identifying as. So I don't know how rugby works around the world. Is this a non-sanctioned game? Because they're going against the very rules of the world governing authority for rugby, Sheila.
So I'm making assumptions here. And again, we haven't, before we go any further, this is what we've seen online. We haven't been able to fact check. So maybe this is what we do next, David, is you reach out to both of these teams and say, like, do you have a biological male playing on the team? What are the rules around biological males playing on the team? Was this a contact game? Like, I think, because we do have co-ed leagues here in Alberta, but it's touch. It's not full contact. But it looks like this is probably just a men's or ladies league, so not like a rep level team, but maybe it is a rep level team. And if it is a rep level team, then a woman's spot, a highly skilled female athlete's spot, has been taken. Because this is the club level. You just sign up, you play club, everybody has fun, you drink beers afterwards, it's great. But if this is rep level, somebody's opportunity has been stolen here. So I'm curious. But you do get these sort of woke teams that will push the rules, knowing that everybody is too scared to be accused of being transphobic to push back.
Sheila, there's one of three things and only three things going on here. One is he's a prankster, and he's a terrible prankster because there's nothing funny about real females getting hurt. Secondly, he's a cheater. In other words, he's a loser. He couldn't make the men's rugby team, so he wants to play rugby. I'll just say I'm a chick. Or three, and I think this is the most likely one, he is mentally ill, just like presumably Busty Lemieux is. He needs treatment. Once upon a time, we had asylums. We had rubber rooms for these people. But in our woke society today, this is equity and inclusion and diversity. If you believe that having a biological male beating up biological females is inclusion, diversity, and equity, you need your head examined. What this is misogyny, nothing else. This is a war on women, be it in women's sports, women's prisons, women's shelters, where guys gaming the system or guys that are batshite crazy are being allowed to re-victimize women over and over again because all you gatekeepers, all you leftists, all you wokeists, you're too afraid of being called transphobic, whatever the hell that is. I'm sick of this garbage, Sheila, and we should make it a mission, even if it means getting the billboard truck out of storage, to send that message out that this cannot be tolerated.
Or there's a fourth option. This was touch, and we've been sorely misled, but it doesn't change our outrage because we know this is happening in other female sports all around the world, swimming, but like MMA fighting. I mean, it's happening in other sports all around the world, which is why we are sort of unsurprised to see this. It doesn't change the outrage at the fact that there are male interlopers stealing opportunities from women and taking out their angst about being rejected by women on the sports field, which I think has a lot to do with some of this stuff, is women don't like you. So wouldn't it be great if you could just go on the sports field and hit them for it? There's, I think, a little bit of that incelness.
Oh, yeah. Pure misogyny. As a matter of fact, Sheila, where do you think Prime Minister Blackface would weigh in on this? I'm sure he would applaud this. This is more tolerance and diversity and all that crap. Because he's the one that allowed the floodgates to open with women's prisoners, that is, cohabitating with male prisoners who identify as female. Oh, and by the way, folks, read the fine print about the inclusion, equity, diversity. If a female is convicted and has to serve time, and she says, oh, guess what, Corrections Canada, I identify as male, I want to go to Millhaven, please accommodate me. The answer is a hard no. Why? Because the guards don't want to be on alert 24/7 preventing that woman from being gang raped. So that's when the reality hits the road, Sheila. Suddenly all that equity and tolerance and all that other woke bullshit go out the window. Suddenly it becomes a practical issue, and that kind of insanity will not be accommodated. How shameful.
Yeah, they're going to equity and tolerance our mothers, daughters, and sisters right into a bunch of wheelchairs or an early grave.
Yeah.
Efron tells me that we have a hard out at 2 Eastern, so we really got to get moving. We'll go to quickly this Lincoln, young, aggressive, hardworking Lincoln. He scrummed Doug Ford about rehiring unvaccinated nurses at Ford Fest a couple of days ago. So let's play that, and then we'll get into our chats so that we can let Efron go.
Are you gonna hire back unvaccinated nurses?
He says 12,000. Yeah, he said 12,000, whatever that means. Basically,
does that mean he fired 12,000 people? By the way, even if you hired them back, which he didn't do, because there are lots of people who are. Doug Ford has left this up to the local health units to decide.
Yeah.
are you going to do it? So Doug Ford has basically offloaded his discrimination into the local Yahoo's hands, who continue to discriminate and want you to wear masks forever.
Yeah.
But even if he had hired them back, imagine the catastrophic fallout that he was willing to allow to the healthcare system by firing 12,000 nurses. And then I've got to follow the lines on the grocery store because the healthcare system's in collapse.
Yeah.
Don't fire all the nurses.
And then advocating everybody stay at home and eat cherry cheesecake. Yeah, I think we might, just on that dietary and physicality advice, have to hire another 12,000 nurses with the outbreak of diabetes and obesity. Unbelievable. That clip tells you a lot, Sheila. I've been going to Ford Fest for like 2 decades, and I can tell you, when the late, great Rob Ford was mayor of Toronto, and before he became mayor, when he was just a councillor, he would go to Ford Fest and he'd be there until the sun went down for hours and hours and hours, shaking hands, doing selfies, signing autographs. Dougie got up, did a 15-minute speech that we've heard like 20,000 times already, and then buggered off in his SUV with a security detail, probably to his cottage or his mansion or wherever. Also, I want to point out, and kudos to Blog TO for breaking this story. When we're walking in, they were demanding that you register for Ford Fest. I've never seen that before, and that you bring ID. And folks, it was not at the Toronto Congress Centre, a private property, but at a public park in Scarborough. And I said to Lincoln, I said, oh, come on, we just have to walk to the stage. No one's stopping us. Nobody did stop us. Why line up and register? And my guess was that they're just building a mailing list for the next election. I think that's part of it, because what Blog TO reported, Sheila, if you did go onto that computer and register, you had to somehow make a donation. There was no escape route to choose zero or other or what have you. You're going to have to cough up some do, re, mi. So Ford Fest, or maybe is the correct term, Sheila, Fraud Fest.
Wow. I don't know if we want to say fraud, but I mean...
Oh, listen, you're advertising it as free hot dogs, free hamburgers, free ice cream, free kiddie rides at the carnival. And, well, yeah, see, they put free in quotation marks. When you advertise something which doesn't come as advertised, I think the other F word applies. Not free, but what I just said.
We got to be super careful about that language. Let's keep going. We got a couple of chats to read, and we got to let Efron go, or he's under pressure here. So we've got Annalisa in 1964. That's our friend Annalisa, who David is some sort of infectious disease to her. Gives us $20. She's always very generous. Hello, my 2 favorite rebels. Well, thanks, Annalisa. I don't mean to make fun of you. You're a really nice lady, but you got terrible taste in men. You're looking extremely handsome today, my sweet Menzies. Sheila, what can I say? You're beautiful as always. Well, I was going to say something about your eyesight, but then you...
It's 2020 as far as I can tell, Sheila. Annalisa, on a future show, here's us a question. You send a super chat answer to me. You said Sheila and I are your 2 favorite rebels, but if you had to choose one, I'm going to give you the Sophie's choice here. You tell us who you would choose. Oh.
David, you know you're going to win that, so just stop it. Stop.
We shall await your answer, Annalisa, with bated breath.
Aaron Burton, 32, gives us $5. I saw Shania in TO on Saturday night. You know, I've heard nothing but complaints about her performances, by the way. Nothing but complaints. Like, people are leaving during her performances. But anyway, for Pride weekend, Budweiser Stage had posted everyone signs over the male and female washrooms. Gross.
Unbelievable.
My boyfriend and I were so repulsed we used the porta potties instead. But you probably took the cleaner option than using a men's washroom at an event like that. I've used a men's washroom when the ladies lineup was too long, and big mistake. Big mistake.
You know, Sheila, my enduring memory of Shania Twain is that in Timmins, Ontario, way up north, they built a Shania Twain museum, I guess, with taxpayer money. And it was so poorly attended, they tore it down or reimagined it as something else. Yeah, so
I don't dislike Shania. I don't like her music. Like I think she did terrible things to country music that we're still trying to recover from. But
such as
oh God, her poppy, disgusting crossover country. Coulter Wall might save us all from it, and maybe Cody Jinks, but we're still just paying the price for what she normalized. But I don't dislike her as a human being. I think she's fine. She's been kind of put through the ringer or whatever, but I've heard nothing but terrible things about her performances during her most recent tour.
She's not the one that runs around and around like an orangutan, right?
I think that's just modern concerts these days.
No, that's Lady Katie Lang, actually.
Lady Katie Lang, yes. Yes. I don't like her because she had that beef about our beef. Remember?
What's that?
She didn't like Alberta beef. So she picked a big fight with the beef producers back in the day. And I'm a grudge holder. She never did apologize for that. Which is why I like, again, Coulter Wall. His dad is Brad Wall. He has a cattle company. He's going to save us. Anyway, we should wrap it up because Efron's got to go.
Righto. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sheila Gunn-Reid, and thank you to our super producer, Efren, behind the boards, and thank you to all you folks tuning in, especially those of you who gave us a super chat. Waiting on Annalisa's follow-up super chat in the days ahead. I'll be back here tomorrow. I believe it's a Tamara Tuesday with Tamara Ugolini. In the meantime, folks, as always, stay safe and stay sane.